Yeah, I think it's not bad because I think I have 17 books, which is less than I had last year. Last year I had 21. So that's pretty good. I did better this year. I'm doing better by 4 books. That's great. Look at that. January fell. My dogs keep walking into my tripod, so there's that. I'm giving the gift to my future self. I'm wrapping up books for my future self, so I don't even have to think about choices in the future. Hi everyone, it's me, Jess. Well, we've come to that time of the year where it's time for me to reflect on my TBRs from 2023 and see how did I do? How many books that I chose for each month did I read? How many are left over? So for those of you who might not be familiar with this, the original video was inspired by a video made by Nora from Books Like Whoa, and I will link last year's video in the description box below. Basically what I did is I went through all of my TBRs from 2022, and those that I didn't get to, I ended up wrapping them, and then I would pull a wrapped randomly. I gave them all numbers and I would randomly pull one. I think I did really well. I think I pulled one at least every month. I do have a few left over. I'm just going to add the books from this year that I wrap to the pile. So let's see how we do. I'm going to go through them one by one and I'm going to discuss why I didn't get to them and if I still want to read them. And then if I still want to read them, I will wrap them for my wrap TBR. So I just checked. I didn't end up reading a book from every month last year for my wrap TBR, but I didn't do too badly. I think I read 10 out of 12. One of them I didn't finish. We'll get to that in just a minute. So we're gonna go through, I went through my TBRs from January through till December from 2023, and we're gonna look at the books. I'm gonna talk about the books in chronological order from January to December. The good news is that in the first half of the year, I really was doing well. I was finishing all of the books that I talked about on my TBRs, except for in January. I think all the way up until May or possibly April, I read everything on my TBR except for January. In January, I had Radio Silence by Alice Osman on my TBR. I think I picked it up the year before, and I haven't read anything by Alice Osman. I'm sad to say I never have. So I definitely do want to get to Radio Silence. So I'm going to add it to my wrapped TBR. So this is about like the secret identity of a kid who runs a podcast called University and one of their fans. I think the focus is on the fan, and then she ends up collaborating with the host, and then the host's identity is revealed. It sounds really good. It reminds me a little bit of Pump Up the Volume, the story for Pump Up the Volume, but we'll see. We'll see. So yes, I'm going to wrap this one. Oh, and I'm going to talk about books all the way up until May, take a break, do some wrapping, and then wrap the books for the remainder of the year. The other book that was on my January TBR that I didn't get to was Quicksand by Nella Larson. I had read Passing in 2022 and then picked this up and wanted to read more by Nella Larson, but I just didn't get to it. So I actually think that I'm going to add this to my 10 classics list. I am going to be filming a video with 10 classics that I would like to read in 2024. So I think I'm actually going to move this onto my classics TBR. Actually, come to think of it, I didn't look at my classics TBR to see what I'd missed. I think I'm going to migrate classics over. This is one that I'm going to migrate over onto my 2024 TBR. Some of the classics last year I wrapped up, so that one I just really want to get to, so I'm just going to move it over. I did have a list of 10 classics that I wanted to read in 2023. I also did fairly well with that. I do have a couple that I didn't get to though. I didn't get to The Bluest Eye. That is going immediately on my 2024 classics list because it was one of the books that I talked about in my video on banned books, and I definitely want to read it, hopefully sooner rather than later. I did not get to Invisible Cities, Italo Calvino. I'm going to wrap this one. I think this is a story about Venice. It's supposed to be a really wonderful little book. So I'm going to wrap that one up. And then the last one on my list that I didn't get to, it was Invisible Man. I think I'm quite intimidated by this book, so I'm not quite sure what to do with it. I don't know whether I'm going to add it to my classics TBR or wrap it, or maybe set it aside for the time being. I hate to do that, but I think I'm feeling really intimidated by it. It's supposed to be really, really good, but quite challenging. So I'm not quite sure what I'll do with that one. Maybe I'll wrap it. That way, if I pull it, I can give it a good go. Let's wrap it. Let's wrap it. So I'm learning how to read more on my TBR. I definitely read more books this year, which I'll talk about in my stats and goals and all of that. That video is coming. But I think, yeah, I think also my TBRs are less ambitious, perhaps. Not sure about that. This one has been on and off TBRs all year long. This is a book by Riku. Onda. I had read the Awasawa murders in 2021 or 2022 and was curious about more of Riku Onda's writings. And this is about a couple who, I think they go on a hike and their hiking guide, something happens to their hiking guide. They go on a mountain trek and something happens to their guide. It's a couple. And it's supposed to be really good. It's a thriller. I just didn't get to it, and I do really want to read it. So I'm wrapping that one for my TBR. Another one that I've been trying to get to for at least 2 years, which has been on and off TBRs, is Fake Accounts by Lauren Oyler. I actually talked about this because I had it in my list of books for the BookTube spin, but I didn't pull the number associated with this book, so I'm going to put it in my wrapped TBR. It's about people's fake identities online, specifically about a character who dates someone and subsequently finds out that they have kind of a secret identity, and that their secret identity is to be very right-wing, to hold very strong, maybe opposite views. So I think this would be really interesting. And I think what she does is she makes a fake account of her own to find out more about his fake identity, which, yeah, that sounds really good to me. So I'm definitely going to wrap that one up. Another book that I don't have with me that was on my classics TBR that I didn't get to is Heartburn. For some reason, I can't find it anywhere. That one I really do want to read, so I'm going to be adding it to my 2024 classics TBR. Yes, just getting myself sorted here. And then I have a series of books that I chose for the Asian readathon, which I did not get to. I did get to quite a few. I just didn't get to all of the ones that I'd chosen. The Vegetarian by Han Kang, The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yōko Ogawa, and The Son of Good Fortune by Lesley Tenorio. I think of these, the one that I want to read the most is probably The Housekeeper and the Professor, so I'm going to add that to my wrapped TBR. The other two I think I'm going to leave aside for now. Maybe I'll get back to them for the Asian readathon next year. We shall see. This one I've heard nothing but good things about, The Housekeeper and the Professor. It's an older book, and I happened to find it in one of my book boxes, and I think it's just about a nice relationship between these two characters, like a friendship between these two characters. That was the prompt that I had pulled it for anyway. I just didn't get a chance to read it. So I would really like to read that one. Then we have my choices for Misery May. Gosh, that was so much fun to make that video for that TBR. I'll leave it linked in the description box below. I had also chosen this for the Asian readathon. Obviously there was some crossover, but I never got to it. I have not read Crying in H-Mart. What the heck? So that is definitely going on my TBR. This is a memoir. It's supposed to be a story that will make you cry, make you sob. It's about, I believe she's Korean, Michelle Zauner. She was in a band called Japanese Breakfast. It's just about her struggles, and I think she lost her mom. Growing apart from and then back together with her Korean identity and forging her own path in the wake of a devastating loss. So I'm here for it. I'm wrapping that one up. I had also chosen Despair by Vladimir Nobokov. So it's about a man who commits the perfect crime, his own murder. It sounds so good. So I'm not even sure if I want to put that on my classics. Maybe I'll put this on my classics list. I don't even think I'm going to wrap this up. I think I'm going to put them on my classics list for 2023. So I already have, for those of you that don't want to come back and watch that video, I already have 3 books for my classics list. And then I had also picked The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan. I didn't get to this one again. I think there was something to do with architecture in one of the prompts for the Hardy Readathon, and that was why I had chosen this one. But I think it's like a dystopian book about like an authoritarian regime that is punishing a woman because she's a bad mother, and then she has to reform herself. And I think it sounds really good. I think it had a pretty good reception when it was released, and I still want to read it, so I'm going to put it in my wrapped TBR. That takes us to June, so let's go and wrap the books from the first half of the year.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for days of old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty friend, and here's a hand of thine. We'll talk a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne.
Okay, everyone, so we're back to take a look at the other books from the remainder of the year. In May, near the end of the May, I think it was at the end of May that I did the college reading vlog. There were a couple of books that I didn't read that I was thinking about reading for the college reading vlog. One of them was, and you've heard my daughter talk about this in our recent conversation about our best books of the year, Monkey Beach by Eden Robinson. I have not read this yet. It really, I think, is like a classic of Indigenous writing or Indigenous literature here in Canada, and I feel like I should read it. I really want to read it. Just, again, didn't get to it, so it's going to be going on my wrapped TBR. I'm really looking forward to the possibility of pulling this one. So the other book that I had for the college reading vlog that I don't actually have a physical copy of because Eden took her copy back from me was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I think I'm going to get my own copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I think I'm going to add it to my classics list for 2024. Another book that I didn't get to that I really wanted to was one that I had chosen as a possibility for Straya September, which was a readathon where Scott was encouraging us to read Australian authors. The Drive by Jane Harper. I'm bummed I didn't get to this one because I've heard massively good things about it. It's a mystery. It's about federal agent Aaron Falk, who hasn't been back to the place where he grew up in 20 years. And when he comes back, he finds out that his childhood best friend Luke is dead and his entire family murdered. And so he investigates that crime. Definitely wrapping this one up. A couple of books. Well, one of the books that I was really hoping to get to during Women in Translation Week and never did, and also added to the BookTube Spin TBR, was Annie Ernaux's book, A Girl's Story. I had also thought about reading Happening. I should say that I had a bunch of books on TBRs over the course of 2023 that I had taken out of the library. Obviously, I'm not going to be wrapping up the books that I've taken out of the library. Happening was one of the ones that I had taken out of the library, and this is one of the ones that I'd purchased. And again, I just didn't get to it. I was very curious about Annie Ernaux's writing, and it's just something that passed me by in 2023, so I will be wrapping this one up. I think this might be a little bit hard to read because I think it's about, it might be about assault. It's about 18-year-old Ernaux submits her will to a man's and then he moves on, and it's set in 1958. So I don't know how I will respond to it, but maybe we'll find out if I unwrap it one of the months this year. Also, Mouth to Mouth is another one that I was interested in reading. I can't recall what reason I had chosen it. I think a friend of mine had recommended this one to me and it sounded good, and it's not a very long book, but I just didn't get to it. It sounds really good. It says, in a first-class lounge at JFK Airport, our narrator listens to Jeff Cook, an acquaintance he only vaguely remembers, shares the uncanny story of his adult life, a life that changed course years before the moment he resuscitated a drowning man. Upon discovering that the man is a renowned art dealer, Francis Arsenault, Jeff begins to surreptitiously visit his Beverly Hills gallery. He takes the younger man under his wing, initiating him into his world, where knowledge, taste, and access are currency, a world where value is constantly shifting and calling into question what is real and what matters. So it's about the art world. It sounds good. There's a big summary written on the back, and I've just read quite a chunk of it. So I like to go in fairly blind, but yeah, I'm still interested. So I'm going to put it in the wrapped TBR. So now we get into the period of time where I started a bunch of books and I didn't finish them. One of the books that I didn't talk about from back in May that I started as a buddy read with Jolene from Bookworm Adventure Girl was A Paragon. And I kept saying I was going to finish it, and I did not finish it during the year. I'm almost 200 pages in, so like halfway in, a bunch of tabs. Desperately want to finish this. So I'm leaving this in my pile of gonna finish it in the next couple of months, I hope, because I have a pile like that. Yes, I have a pile of gonna finish it in the next couple of months. Similarly, in the same vein, I started North and South, tabbed it up, got distracted, very distracted, but I'm loving it, especially in the context of our recent teachers strike. I just was loving it. So I didn't stop reading it because I wasn't enjoying it. I was up to page 225. This is going right back on my docket right away. I'm going to continue to read hopefully a chapter or two a day, and I'm going to finish this in the early part of 2024. Two other books that I started. My rule was that if I'm over 100 pages in, I'm going to finish them at the beginning of 2024. One of them was Riot Days. I was about 100 pages into this and put it down to read something else. Same with Golden Hill. These two books as well I would like to finish in the early part of the month. However, there are a couple of books. Oh, and the other one, and the last one is Stephen King's Pet Sematary. I got interested in reading Pet Sematary because of the bee sting, because PJ, the young boy's character, I think his name's PJ, I hope I'm right, he was reading Pet Sematary, and I've never read it. And I got 100 pages in, but again, got distracted by other things. Those books, these 5 books, they are getting finished. They are getting finished. I don't know if the Past and Future Readathon has a prompt for finishing a book, but I'm finishing some of these books in 2024. We should make a tag for that. The last two are books that I started and did not finish in October. October was a tough one for me. I think it's because it's the middle of my semester and I don't realize how demanding midterms will be in marking. It's kind of a crunch time in the semester. So the last two are, one is Out by Natsuo Kirino. I only got about 40 pages into this. This is about a woman, I believe she kills her partner, and then a mystery unfolds after that. Apparently it's brilliant, it's amazing. I've heard nothing but good things. Unfortunately, it was a little bit slow going at first too, and I think it was easy for me to go to other things, so I think I'm going to have to make a bit more of a commitment if I pull it. But I'm going to wrap it and include it in the wrapped TBR. And the last one is Picnic at Hanging Rock. Again, I got 40 pages in and got distracted by, I think I got distracted by Say Nothing, honestly, because that book just totally consumed me. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to finish this one as well, so I'm going to include it in my wrapped TBR. So yeah, guys, those are the 17 books for my wrapped TBR. Let's go wrap these last few, and I'm really looking forward to the surprise of unwrapping them as I go through 2024.
For old lang syne, we'll talk a cup of kindness yet for days of old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty friend, and here's a hand of thine. We'll talk a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. tug a cup of kindness yet for all mankind.
All right, everyone. So here we have the 14 books that I wrapped. Okay, so here are the 12 books left over from 2022, still wrapped. And here are the 14 books from 2023. So I'm going to combine these piles and we're going to see what happens in 2024. Thanks everyone so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye. Wait, January, February, March, April, May, June. Yes. Oh. I can't remember. I can't recall. We're gonna wrap these and then we'll be back. Should I look up the woman from Books Like Well? I guess I should. I am gonna be filming a video with 10 classes with